If you believe something that is false, then you are deceived. If someone can convince you to believe a lie, then they have control over you and they can manipulate you. Only if you know the truth, you can be free from someone controlling and manipulating you. Belief is very tricky. Belief is the first step you must take to find the truth, but most people stop right there. That's where belief turns bad, because you might be believing the truth, but you might be believing a lie. And if you believe a lie, then you are deceived. But you have to take the next step to try to prove to yourself that what you believe is true. If you can't, then don't believe it at all. It's better to just wait until you can be absolutely sure that what you believe might be the truth, than to go right ahead and believe something that might be a lie. Jesus promised,
"And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free."
Can you know for absolute certainty that it's true? Just as an example, most Christians believe that Jesus died and rose from the dead. That is a real basic thing that all Christians take for granted to be the truth. In fact, it's a requirement for salvation that Christians believe this and confess this faith publicly. A requirement. But can you prove this is true? Were you there? There were only 3 persons that were present to witness this event: Nicodemus, Joseph of Arimathea, and Maria Magdalena. And this was an event that took place over 2,000 years ago, and someone wrote about it in a book. But not those 3. They wrote nothing of what they saw or experienced. Moreover, it is possible, and even probable, that others invented lies about that event to create a new religion and get control over masses of people. Can you prove they didn't? The truth is, there is no way you have of knowing whether or not it is true. With all the forgeries, contradictions, and inconsistencies that can be found in the Bible, there is no way to know for sure that this was not just another forgery to get masses of people to accept the new religion, Christianity. And for centuries, it's possible that churchmen continued to use the same forgery as a tool to control and manipulate masses of people. So even with the doctrine of the death and resurrection of Jesus, you may be believing a lie, in which case you would be deceived. Now, it's not to say that there is no truth at all in the Bible. But how do you know what's true and what's not? The answer is you have to test things with logic, and if it can stand the test of logic, there is a very good chance it's true. I believe that many things found in the Bible that Jesus taught are true. But what makes it difficult is that there are actually a lot of things left out that existed in the original writings, and even some things that were changed. And there are a lot of things that the writers added that were not in the original teachings. Jesus came to remind us of who we really are, because we have forgotten. Deconstruction. This is the reason God left us with intuition. Everyone has it to some degree, and it can be enhanced. Sometimes the only way to know or access the knowledge you have is to look deep into your soul, not to any pulpit, old book, a scholar, etc., but into your own soul. Now, there might be some deceit that was put somewhere in there between your soul and the promise of Jesus that you would know the truth, that may cloud your intuition. So sometimes you just have to throw everything out and start from zero. Then, if you are sincerely wanting to know the real truth, it will slowly come to you. What comes to you at first may be a shock to you and may be inclined to reject it. You will never be forced to accept the truth. But if you are ready and sincerely want to know the real truth at any cost and come with an open mind, you will receive it, and there will come with it absolute proof that it really is the real truth, for he that has ears to hear. Sometimes you have to examine what you already believe to discover if what you already believe is true or not. This exercise is called deconstruction. The churches don't like deconstruction because it causes people to start questioning their own faith. And when people start questioning what they have been taught by others, what they have always just accepted by faith, that's when the problems begin, because they are starting to want answers to questions that maybe they have had for a long time, or new ones that they never thought of before. At any rate, much of the time the answers they get are not logical, or are not scriptural, or other issues that cause the answers to not be satisfactory. And when people start doubting their religion, that's when there is the danger that the church might start losing the stranglehold grip they have on their faithful tither. When people learn the truth about certain doctrines that were false, that's when they stop going to church. That's why the churches are so much against the deconstruction movement. They lose the control they have over people, and when they lose control over people, they lose the money people bring with them. Two of the doctrines that indirectly cause the biggest doubts in people are the Christian doctrine of reincarnation that was removed, and the doctrine of the Trinity, or the false Jesus is God forgery, that was added. These two issues, believe it or not, are indirectly some of the things that cause people to have doubts about Christianity. I have heard other excuses for this, like not being accepted for being LGBTQ+, or being treated badly by other church people, racism, politics, etc. These things do cause a lot of people to want to stop going to church. But because of those two issues, many people are left in the dark, since they are the main things that help people understand life. But all of those things are just symptoms of something that is deeply rooted in Christianity. In the end, Christians are growing up and starting to realize that there is something seriously wrong with the Christian religion itself. The church wants to keep us as ignorant little children, but people are beginning to realize that they are not as free as they should be, and Christianity is not able to change fast enough, or at all. Reincarnation puts salvation into the hands of God's children themselves, instead of needing belief. They are in charge of their own salvation, instead of depending on the vicarious atonement. With the teaching of Jesus, righteousness and perfection is the goal, and good works and doing the will of God is the path to entering the kingdom of God. We don't need the church, a mediator, or a priest to reach God. The Trinity makes Jesus, the God of creation and only path to salvation, only mediator between God and men, and there is only power through him, making the child of God powerless. Without Jesus, just an adopted child and not begotten of God. The Trinity makes Jesus the second person in the three-in-one Godhead. In the Gospel of John, Jesus becomes the only begotten Son of God instead of the first, as it originally said. The seeker of truth becomes no good and unrighteous. The church makes him feel like he is filthy rags to God. The truth is that we are all begotten of God. Like Jesus said,
Is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods?
And in Psalms it says,
I have said, you are gods, you are all sons of the Most High.
And what's more,
He that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do.
Jesus was literally saying, we are gods. If we are sons and daughters of God, and do the same things and greater things than Jesus did, then we are just as much divine beings as Jesus is. We are just as much God's children, in the same way as Jesus was begotten of God. Remember, Jesus said, we are all gods, we are sons of God, just like Jesus, and we have the potential to do everything Jesus did, and even as Jesus said, "Greater things shall he do." That's what Jesus said. One of the things is he came to remind us of who we are and what we can actually do. The reason we don't is because we just can't remember who we really are. We all have the power as gods, being children of God. We have power the same as Jesus, to heal, to affect the elements, to do miracles. We just don't believe it. Because we have forgotten, so we don't know it, but the day is coming when we will.